Welcome to Unveiled Living. My name is Tracy Padilla, and this is Heart Talk. So if you noticed the last couple weeks, we've been talking about God in the details, and I've been sharing stories of my life of certain specific things that I've walked through where I've been able to truly experience how God truly cares about the finite details of our life. Being here in North Carolina in this beautiful cabin in the middle of nowhere has really caused my heart to reflect on these stories and on particular memories in my life of seeing the hand of God so many times in my life that it causes me to just keep a refreshed, can't even think of the word, but just to keep at hand, to not forget those stories and those things that God has done in my life, because there are going to be other seasons that will come in my life. And it's these particular memories and these things that I've walked out with the Lord that will increase my faith and to help me not to give up when I walk through other trials. Because, we've walked through a specific trial in my family recently with my son-in-law being very, very sick in ICU. And I mentioned before, I'll talk about that at another time, but I feel like a lot of times, some of the things that we go through in our life, God does it so that we don't forget. Because when trials do come, and they will, those are our reminders to remember how faithful God is and how He will get us through. So going back to God in the details, I want to share another story with you as I wrap up this 3-part series. And I want to share a particular time in my life where my ex-husband and I were coming off the field. We had been missionaries to Ireland, and we were coming back to the States in 2002. And so all of a sudden, here we are needing cars. He needed a car, and I needed a car. And for some reason, there was a specific type of car that I wanted, but yet it was completely out of my budget. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't even make it happen. All I literally had to my name, I believe, was my budget was $12,500. So that's what I needed to find my car. Everything all in, $12,500. So here's the cool thing about this particular story. So I went and looking, we were looking, my ex-husband, he'd already found, his truck that he wanted, and it actually cost a little bit more. So my budget became a little bit less, but that's okay. We just kept looking. And I think for a good month or 2 months, we were going around in this pickup truck with a little cabin in the back with 3 kids in it and a car seat and the whole 9 yards. It was really, really, really tight and kind of crazy. But I just had it out that I really wanted a Toyota Avalon. You're talking 2002. I think they started making them in like 1997, 1995, somewhere in there. So they were still really expensive in 2002 to be able to afford. And so we kept looking, and I was trying car after car, and I'm just like, nope, that's not the car, that's not the car, that's not the car. And so finally one night I go to sleep, and I just kept praying, Father, just, lead me to that car, but if it is your will, I would love to be able to find a Toyota Avalon. If I could make that, if you could make that happen, that would be incredible. So one particular night I went to sleep, and I woke up, and I had a dream. And the dream was so prevalent to me that I knew that it was a God dream. So I woke up and I told my ex-husband, I said, honey, go get the Auto Trader at the gas station. Go get the Auto Trader. And I said, my car is in there. I'd had a dream that in the Auto Trader there was a Toyota Avalon. So sure enough, he's like, okay, are you sure? And I'm like, no, go get it. I promise you. So he runs over to the gas station and gets that and brings it back home. And of course, I grab, and you talk about a test of faith, because I'm like, I know I got to be right. I know this is what I feel in my spirit. So I grab the Auto Trader and I'm like, and I flip through and I go to T and I look up Toyota. There was one Avalon in there for sale. Toyota Avalon 2002, 84,000 miles. And it was, I believe it was $11,800 was the price. And I remember thinking, $11,800? Are you kidding me? And so I'm like, we got to go see it. There must be something really wrong with it. So we hop in the car and we drive across town, and it was a tiny little like mom and pop dealership. And we walk in and we're like, okay, do you still have the 2002 Toyota Avalon? And actually, it wasn't a 2002, it was a 1997 Toyota Avalon. It was the year 2002 when I was looking for it. So we walk in there, and of course the owner was like, yeah, we still have it. And so we're like, we'd like to look at it. So we look at it and test drive it. We take it down to the local Toyota dealership, and they look over the engine, and they were like, there's nothing wrong with this car. It's in, great shape. And so we take it back, and my ex-husband goes to try to barter with them to maybe see if he could take it down a little bit more. And that's where we found out what happened. The owner goes to tell us that the secretary that week, the week before, she had put in 2 car ads in the Auto Trader. Well, what happened was she put the wrong price on the wrong car. So the Chevrolet that she was advertising, she put the Avalon price, and I think it was selling for close to $17,000. And for the Avalon, she put the Chevrolet price, which was $11,800. Now, what's really cool about this story was the owner said, listen, you all came in here thinking that you had this Avalon for $11,800. That's not the price. I'm not going to make a dime off of this, but because that's what it was advertised at, I will hold to that advertisement. And it just so happened that if we had waited one more day, they had put in a new advertisement with that car with the right price. We just happened to come in on the last day that it was being advertised in the Auto Trader. So guess what? I got that car for $11,800. And I think I only had like $11,200. And so I called the bank and I'm like, can you give me $500 more? And they're like, yes. I'm like, whoa. So we got that car for $11,800. And I drove that car till the doors fell off of it. It was such a blessing of a car. But the whole moral of this story is that as we've been talking about, God is in the details. That is something that deeply mattered to me. I don't know why. I had it in my mind that I wanted a Toyota Avalon, and I knew that I just was going to need a bigger car. The normal size car wasn't going to work. And so that's why I feel like was one reason why I was so stuck on having that particular car. But you know, the beauty of it is once again, it was a reminder to me how God is in the details, how much He cares about every single thing in our life. Everything matters. Everything matters. I could honestly probably write a book about story after story after story, how God has shown Himself in my life and in my family's life over and over again, about how much He cares about every little intricate part and detail of our life. So what I'm hoping in these last 3 weeks, as we've gone through this particular series of God in the Details, I hope this has brought encouragement to you. I do not know what you're going through. I don't know what season of life you're in or where you are or anything. I don't know anything. As we go into the season of Christmas coming as well, don't forget whatever it is that you have need of and whatever it is that you have want of, God cares about all of it. If He can create the beauty of this creation that I'm sitting here in and observing and looking at every marking that is a masterpiece, it's like a painting of what I'm looking at, then how much more will your Heavenly Father take care of you? I want to wrap up with this verse that I started with 3 weeks ago, and it is this: give all your worries and cares to God, because He cares for you. That's 1 Peter 5:7. Until next time.